So, what is it like to game on a Threadripper? I'm about to find out. This mysterious box came down from the heavens, and so I looked up and asked, "What is this?" And then the gods replied to me, "It is fire." Let's unbox this thing. Whew. Okay, and of course no unboxing would be complete without knife time. Some people might think that a knife like this would be overkill for an unboxing, but you want to know what's really overkill? An effing Threadripper. But before we mosey on ahead, I would just like to acknowledge another mystery box that I recently got, and here it is. Thank you so much to Baked Culture Manila for this wonderful box of swag. I thought it was edibles, but Baked Culture is actually a clothing brand. Also, a shout out to Creative Industries PH, an alliance of creative individuals and organizations formed to lobby for legislations that would aid the creative industries. Check out all their socials and stuff. Links are in the description. Hello and welcome to Tech Things. I am your Tito Frank, and today we are going to be looking at this mystery monster machine behind me over here. Now, I don't know a lot about this machine except for that it's a showpiece machine. It's a demo unit for things like special events and conventions and stuff like that. I don't even know how much time this is going to be spending with me, and so I did my best to do as many tests as I can. I also did a head-to-head comparison between my current build and this mystery machine right here. Full disclosure, this is not my machine. I did not pay for this. I did not build this. I can't afford this, and quite frankly, neither can you. Anyway, let's see what's in the box.
I saw you with the box. What was in the box? What's in the box?
We got ourselves a Threadripper 3990X with 64 cores and 128 threads. Actually, this is just an empty box. But unfortunately, it had to be swapped out for a 3660X.
You lie! You're a liar!
But the 3660X has 24 cores and 48 threads. Inside the box, we have a whole lot of ASUS going on with this ROG Strix TRX 40E gaming motherboard with 8 slots that can support up to 256 gigs of quad-channel DDR4 RAM. A ROG Strix 850 watt gold power supply unit. In the graphics department, we have the Radeon Pro W5700. This is not really a gaming GPU, this is a workstation GPU. That's what the W stands for. Its intended use is 3D acceleration for architecture, engineering, construction, design, manufacturing, that kind of stuff. But yes, you can still use it for gaming. It still has enough grunt for even the toughest AAA titles. And since this is a showpiece machine, you gotta put it in a fancy display case. And for that, we have the ROG Strix Helios, this beautiful monolith of metal, tempered glass, and RGB lighting. I'm going to be comparing this dream machine to my very own mean machine. Inside my mean machine is the Ryzen 9 3950X, 128 gigs of RAM, and a Radeon 5700 XT video card. I'm going to be switching up the format this time, and I'm going to be evaluating this machine based on 3 categories: rock, paper, and scissors. By rock, I mean everything that rocks about this unit. All of the pros, all of the pluses. Now, scissors is everything that has been cut or compromised in the build. Everything that sucks about this machine. And lastly, paper. How much does this thing cost? And is it actually worth it? Initially, I was thinking of going with cockroach, foot, and nuclear bomb, but I couldn't make it work. Okay, so firstly, rock. What rocks about this system? It's a frickin' Threadripper. The S rank of AMD processors. It's also called HEDT, which stands for high-end desktop. It was designed around the needs of content creators. I'm talking about video editors and colorists, 3D artists, CG artists, all of which are tasks that take advantage of an abundance of cores. If your typical desktop is a Velociraptor, then the Threadripper is a T-Rex. Now you combine all of that with a workstation class video card and you've got yourself a baller system for both work and play. Next category, scissors. What sucks about this system? In my opinion, it's the underwhelming amount of RAM. I mean, 32 gigs is plenty for most systems, but considering you have a powerful processor in there, you'd want to pair that off with as much RAM as you possibly can. Last category, paper. How much does all of this cost? The way it is configured presently, it comes to about 250,000 pesos, or about a little bit under $5,000. With the original 3990X installed in the system, that cost would have gone up to about 500,000 pesos, or roughly $10,000. We're talking Linus Sebastian levels of money. You know, LTT, not my TT. My TT is smaller. My TT has to work very hard. My TT, so hard. Whether or not it is worth it is irrelevant to people like us who cannot afford it. But if you own, say, a content creation company, then an investment like this would make sense. It comes out cheaper than an Intel-based Xeon system, and it would perform even better. So from that perspective, if you can afford it, it's worth it. Now, testing is where things get weird. Honestly, I was expecting the Threadripper to mop the floor with my system, but no, that's not the way it turned out. Let me explain. No, that's too complicated. Let me summarize. In a nutshell, when it comes to synthetic benchmarks like Blender, Geekbench, and Cinebench R23, the Threadripper takes the win, particularly in multi-core performance. It loses out to the Ryzen in single-core performance, but this is to be expected as the Threadripper has a third more cores, but has a lower base clock and boost clock. But when it comes to real-world stuff like rendering in After Effects and exporting a 4K video from an editing timeline, it's a different story. My After Effects tests results were a little weird, but the two machines were basically trading blows. The Threadripper wins in a few tests, and then loses out on others. In my Edius 4K export test, however, the Threadripper clearly lost to the Ryzen. Between After Effects and Edius, Edius is definitely better at utilizing the cores more effectively, as you can see. Which makes it even more baffling because the Threadripper has more cores. Gaming performance, on the other hand, was a dead heat as far as I'm concerned, and honestly, I couldn't tell the difference in performance. Granted, I was only gaming at 1080p because I only have 1080p monitors, and neither video card from either system supports ray tracing. So there. And so, what is the big takeaway from all of this testing? I have realized that testing is hard, so hard. And I don't really want to do it anymore because I'm really tired. Seriously, the big takeaway is having a powerful processor is not the end-all and be-all of a system build. A system is only as powerful as its weakest component. If you have a powerful processor like a Threadripper or an EPYC, then it follows that the other subsystems have to be equally robust. I could be wrong about this, but I think it pretty much comes down to the fact that my system has 128 gigs of RAM, and the Threadripper only has 32. The main difference that had a significant impact in testing out these two machines head-to-head. The moment you get into HEDTs, it's never going to be a simple plug-and-play operation where you just build the thing, install the software, and you're good to go. When you get to this level of PC building, you really need to know what you're doing. That's why this machine is not for me. It's too much. It's way too much for what I need, and it's also way too expensive, so I couldn't afford it to begin with anyway. Most people build a new PC every 2 to 3 years. I tend to build one every 5 to 6 years. I try to squeeze as much usefulness as I can from a machine before moving on to another one. We tend to be very frugal here in the Philippines. We don't like wasting anything. In the West, you might call it minimalism. We refer to it as poverty. Life is tough here in the Philippines. So tough that we make chickens fight to the death. It's a cockfight, but it's not what you think. Our chickens fight with bladed weapons strapped to their feet. I shit you not. This is the actual blade that gets strapped onto the feet of a fighting cock. It is sharp and nasty. What was my point? Actually, my point is don't feel too bad about your crappy old PC. For as long as it runs the games that you like to play, and it runs the apps that are useful to you, and it's not incredibly slow and unstable, then really, it's fine. Trust me, dude, I am a Filipino. I come from the least safe country in the world. It is also the country that is ranked last. It is also the country that is ranked last in terms of COVID resiliency. Rock bottom last. By all accounts, this is the worst place in the world to be right now. But if you were to ask me how I'm doing, I would reply, not bad. I mean, it's not great, but basically I'm doing fine. It's not so much that I believe in miracles. I think at this point, I've come to rely on them. And that's how I know that you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be just fine. Because wherever you are in the world, can't be as bad as here. So take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you all next time. You unsubscribed ingrates. Ow! We found it. We found Kabayan Foods in Cyberpunk. Dami na!